Hey people, it's your girl Joy Chestnut coming to you live from my home to yours with my 15 minutes of faith. Before I get started, I want to first say that my heart goes out to all the children who suffered and died over gun violence during the 4th of July weekend while we as adults were out having a good time, enjoying family, out partying or having fun or in having fun, whatever we were doing. Children were being enslaved by gun violence. Now, you know you're in a terrible time in life when children are being gunned down. And it's just, I just can't imagine from a mother's perspective picking out a casket and having to write a eulogy for an 8-year old. That troubled me so bad all week long. I've been wanting to come on and do something, but I was just so troubled I couldn't get past that. So I want to say that my heart, my prayers, my thoughts go out to the families, not only of the children who, were gunned down, of the people who are just dying in savage ways these days, but mostly to those children, because it's so unnatural to bury your child. I can't say that I understand it or know how it feels, and I hope that I never have to, but unfortunately those parents are experiencing that grievous thing today. So I wanted to just say that before I went any further. But what I want to talk about today is being invisible. Have you ever felt invisible before? Felt invisible in your relationship? Felt invisible in your household, in your home, amongst your family? Felt invisible at your job, at your place of work? You're overlooked. Have you ever felt so overlooked and unappreciated and unvalued? Well, I wanted to come on and talk about David. He was one of God's most adored kings in the Bible, and he was a young shepherd. And when Samuel, at the time, who was the prophet during the time, God sent him to go look for a king because Israel had been asking for a king. And so he sent him to go find the king, and he knew that when he found the person who was anointed to be king, that the oil would spill, and that's how he would know. So he went to David's household, and David had many brothers, and they were all tall, strapping men that, were surely more likely to be considered king than David. David was a shorter man, not as big in stature as his brothers, and a shepherd. And so they went to the house and they went through every single brother before they finally decide, well, this must be our last chance to try. And they realized that it was David that the oil flowed for. He became king. And even in his time after he became king, I want to say he was 22, something to that effect. I think he may have been 22 when he became king, when he got anointed to be king. However, I think it was a good 7 years until he was 30 or 33, maybe even 10 years before he actually was able to take the throne and reign and be king, because he was running from Saul, who was the current king, who lost his kingship to David. And he was running from him who was trying to kill him. And all the time, through that time, he kept his integrity. He hid in caves and he did all this stuff that he didn't have to do because he was king. And he knew who he was, but he had integrity and he didn't want to kill Saul. So he did everything to go around that. In fact, at one time, he kind of ran up on Saul and Saul didn't see him. And I think he took his sword and stuck it in his robe and then, dipped out. But pretty much he was letting him know, if I wanted to hurt you, I could have done that right now. But he kept his integrity. So I just want to say to those of you who feel like you're invisible, maybe in your job, people are looking over your work. People are looking over you and the value you bring to the job. Maybe in your household and your family line, you've been looked over. Sometimes you have a family that you have the older sister or brother who's doing so much, or the younger sister or brother who's doing so much, and that so much could be good or bad. Sometimes you have a child in a family that's cutting up so bad, the ones who's not don't get any attention. They're overlooked. Or ones that are doing so well that it's hard to follow in their footsteps and you can feel overlooked or invisible. Even in your relationships, sometimes men and women tend to forget what it is they have. They take it for granted. They forgot your value. You forgot their value. So even sometimes when my husband and I were just talking about this, how, you can see people outside and looking in trash or, not even looking in trash, but coming home with items that we look at and it's our first time seeing, and we go, that's pretty. Where'd you get it from? Oh, I bought it from a yard sale for $2. Somebody who was willing to give it away for $2, it becomes treasure to someone else. And even sometimes when my husband does the smallest little things, like he filled my gas tank up. I think I want to say last week he took the car to go do something and came back and filled the gas tank up. I didn't know until I went to go grocery shopping. And so I thank him all the time when he does little stuff, and he'll say, well, that's what I'm supposed to do. Why do you thank me? You don't have to thank me. Well, yes, I do, because I don't ever want to get too comfortable, because lots of people are supposed to do stuff and they don't do it. And that's how we miss each other. That's how we get lost, when we start just taking it for granted that because you do it, and sometimes you're supposed to do it and you have to do it, but that doesn't mean you do it. You know how many people skip out on opportunities to be a blessing? How many people skip out on their responsibilities? Many. So I do it because, for one, I have an attitude of gratitude. I'm grateful. I've been by myself doing all of what I do for a very long time. I have swum to shore many times to land on my feet all alone. Even when I couldn't swim, I still made it to shore. So I'm grateful to have someone who does something for me that I have always had to do for myself, or been doing for myself for a very long time. And I don't want to lose that attitude of gratefulness. And I don't want him to lose it towards me, because we have to hold in high value the things that are important to us. Imagine the pain and the grief that the parents who have lost their children, who didn't know that that was the last time that they would see them. Right? So I just want to talk about, for those of us, or those of you, or anybody who feels invisible, you feel overlooked, don't worry about it, because a time will come in your season that God will put you in the eyes of people. You have dreams, you have goals. Don't try to tell everybody about your dreams. Don't even try to convince people about your dreams and your goals and what it is you're going to do. Just keep chipping away at it. Just keep doing what it is you do. And in due time, and when it's your season, that time will come around, and you know what? God will put your name on the heart of people. He will put your name, he will whisper your name in the ears of people that can see your work, that will see your value, that will look for a thing that you are the only one who has it. It'll be your time. The worst thing you can do is compare yourself to others, because what's for you is for you, and what's for them is for them. So stay in your own yard, stay in your lane, and drive in your lane, because surely if you cross over to the other lane, you know you're going to be in somebody else's lane. It's going to be a crash, right? They have an old saying that says the rear view mirror in the car is much smaller than the windshield for a reason, because you should be looking forward. It's a bigger picture where you're going than where you've come from. So if you've come from a place of that you didn't feel valued, a place of discouragement, a place of failure, a place of loss, a place that you hadn't desired to be, don't worry about that. It's the small picture. It's small compared to the big picture that God has for you in front of you. And you stay focused on that. And in due season, as I said, just as David, the least likely to be chosen. You know how when we're in high school and they do the yearbook and they put people in there and they say the most likely to succeed? You go back and look at some of them pictures and some of them folks and them jokers, they were not what people thought they were going to be. See, there is a big difference between personality and character. And some people have big personalities, but they have little character, right? So the people with big personalities tend to please people. People like to be around them. They like to be in the center of attention. They like to have a lot of fun. And, people look at them and look to them for being the life of the party. And they have that big personality. And some people with big personalities also have big characters. But most of the time, people who have big character don't spend a lot of time worrying about personality. It speaks for itself. Because your character is what you are and who you are when nobody's looking. It's the thing that people can depend on, you being who it is that they know you are. Not who you want them to think you are, but who you really are. And who you really are will be known to those who need to know it. Just know that what it is you have inside you, your gift, is not one size fit all. So that's why if you're feeling like you're invisible or your value hasn't been realized yet, it's because it's not a one size fit all. See, one size fit all, anybody could put that on. Whatever the gift is that you possess and you hold is for certain people. Don't try to make what you have good for everybody, because it's not. When I was dating, and if I dated a guy and I saw that he would like any kind of woman, he didn't have a type, I would say, I just ain't his type, because I'm a certain type. And I know I'm a certain type. Not that I'm trying to call myself a dime piece or whatever. I'm just saying that I know my personality. I know my character. And if you like just anybody, you ain't going to like me, because I'm not just anybody. Now, you do have to know your own treasure, your own worth, and your own value. You do have to know that, so that when other people can't see it and they don't know it, it has to sit with you at all times. You have to remember. Just remember, you can go down on the Jew market on 117th Street, 125th Street. You can go down there and it's 5 people with the same item. And you can say, yo, let me get that for $10, right? And he can say, no, $20, my friend. And you just start walking away. Before you walk away, he's going to be saying, okay, 15. He's going to be trying to do what we call Jew you, right? Right? Because you're going to bargain with him, right? You're going to use your bargaining skills and get that price. So he's only asking for 20 because he probably only wants 10, right? So he know if he asks for 20 and you give him 20 and there's 3 other people on the block with the same item, that he know he got him one. Because most people who know how to shop in the city know that, listen, I ain't giving you what you asking me for. You ain't out here paying no it's just the nature of the beast, right? But at the same time, you do not go in Macy's. You do not go in Dillard's saying, let me get this for $15. Why? The quality is there. It speaks for itself. The brand is there. You don't ask for discounts in places that you know they don't have discounted items. So don't let nobody discount you. Those who don't see your value and are not willing to pay the price, it's because you're not what they're looking for. And that's okay, because your package, your prize, your product, your gift is not for everybody. It's not one size fits all. So sometimes you got to lay in the cut. You got to let a lot of things go before you until your time comes, because you want to be in the right season for yourself. So you don't want to do the right thing out of time. Because if you do the right thing out of time, that thing that could be great will fall apart because you're in the wrong timing. So just be patient, sit still, be still, and know that God is God. And do like David. Like I said, he showed Saul, I could hurt you if I want to, but I'm going to go on and keep it moving, because I know my time going to come, because I'm already anointed. I already know who I am. I always have a certain kind of admiration with people with the name David, because I'm just like, what a power-packed name. Man after God's heart. One of the most adored kings in the Bible. Jesus was from the line of David, And so I just wanted to come on and talk about, if you feel invisible, don't worry about it, because soon enough, God will make you and your gifts visible. And those who didn't value your gift, who didn't value your treasure, who didn't value your worth, they will be able to see it one day. But as long as you see it, God will put it on Front Street. He's going to put it on display in the right time, because he kept it inside. See, the best is always saved for last. So if you're feeling like you last, don't worry about it. The best go to last. You let all the people go before you that's supposed to go before you. When your time comes, just be ready to shine. Because if you got God on your side and you walking in your calling and you in the right place at the right time and you standing in your gift, you can't do nothing but be blessed. You can't do nothing but prosper. When I pray, I always say, God, let me be in the center of your will. I've had many opportunities, many people, many things pass me by because I knew it wasn't for me. And even if it was, it might not have been the time for me. I'm big on timing and waiting for the right time to shine. So, again, I wanted to come on, and I just want to say at the end of this again, that my heart, my prayers and my thoughts go out to the families who did suffer from violence this past 4th of July weekend. That is not what we want to see. Black lives do matter, but they have to matter to Black people. And so I wanted to say that my heart and prayer goes out to those families. I've been praying all week long, and that's why it took me so long to come on and do a video, because my heart was so troubled especially just watching that beautiful little baby and that mother grieve like that on TV. It was just, I was troubled by it all week long. But I'm coming on today to say, don't worry about being invisible. When it's time, God will make you and all your gifts and talents visible to those He wants to see it. Not to everybody, but for those He has that particular gift for. This is my 15 minutes of faith. And until I see you again, be blessed.